All right, just a quick heads up. This isn't financial advice. Not at all. Think of this more like we're putting on our detective hats to look into a company called Rezolve AI. We're going to break down one analyst's really compelling argument about what might be behind its sudden, massive stock surge. Okay, let's dive right in.
So it all kicks off with this number. In just one day of trading, Rezolve AI stock shot up by more than 15.5%. And, a jump that big, that fast, that almost never happens just by accident.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't some great day for the market where everything was going up. Actually, it was the opposite. Other big AI names like SoundHound and UiPath were actually down. So Rezolve wasn't just swimming against the tide, it was launching like a rocket in the other direction.
So yeah, that begs the million-dollar question we're trying to figure out today. Why? Why did this one stock just completely defy the trend so dramatically? What in the world is going on behind the scenes at Rezolve AI?
Okay, so the first piece of this puzzle, as it so often does, starts with a simple rule. Follow the money. The analysis we're digging into points to some really unusual trading activity, especially from the big institutional players.
Get this, in just 1 week, over $600,000 in what are called unusual options trades, basically huge bets that the stock is going to go up, were placed on Rezolve AI. Now, for a stock that doesn't normally see this kind of action, a number that big is like a giant flashing sign that something might be up.
But here's what's really wild. It's the urgency of these bets. I mean, look at the biggest one here. A $250,000 bet that the stock's going to blast past $5. And the expiration date? January 15th. That's less than a week away. This isn't some patient, long-term investment. This is someone betting that something is going to happen, like right now.
The analyst who broke all this down really just nails it with this quote. Trades this big and this short term, that's not just random noise. It really suggests that someone, somewhere, thinks they know something is coming. They're getting in position for a specific event.
Which, of course, leads us to the next obvious question. If these big money traders are betting on some imminent event, what could that event possibly be?
And well, it turns out the analysis doesn't point to just one potential thing, but a whole cluster of events, all happening one right after the other. Let's take a look at the calendar.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's an absolute whirlwind. First, you've got new data coming out about all the bets against the stock. Then, a huge live demo with Microsoft at what's basically the Super Bowl of retail conferences. And then, just 2 days after that, a super important investor call. It's an incredibly packed schedule.
And that investor call on the 13th? That's seen as the real main event, the biggest piece of the puzzle. It's basically a mini earnings report where everyone expects the company to release new financial guidance and give a much clearer picture of its future. For a stock that, according to the analyst, is not priced for this kind of news, this could be a total game changer.
So we've got the big money signal, and we've got these upcoming events, but there is one more factor here that could act like pure gasoline on a fire, a massive number of investors who are betting for this stock to fail.
This is what's known as a short squeeze. And to put it simply, it's when a stock has a lot of people betting against it and then some good news hits. All those people who bet against it, the short sellers, they have to suddenly rush to buy the stock to stop their losses. And that sudden rush of buying can make the stock price go absolutely vertical.
And as you can see from this chart, Rezolve AI is a perfect candidate for this. According to the data, over a quarter of its available shares are sold short. And to put that in perspective, a typical, average stock might have a short interest of maybe 3 to 5%. So yeah, this is an incredibly high number.
And get this, the analysis we're following here speculates that even that official number might be an undercount. The analyst thinks the true short interest could be way higher, maybe even pushing 30, 40, or 50%. And with new data coming out tomorrow, we could be in for a real shock.
So, how do all of these different puzzle pieces actually fit together? Let's take a step back and look at the whole picture that this analysis is painting for us.
So here it is, the whole argument in a nutshell. First, you've got this signal, those huge, weird options trades that suggest someone's expecting news. Then you've got the catalysts, the conference and the investor call that could be the news. You add the fuel, that ridiculously high short interest ready to ignite. And all of it is built on the base, the idea that the stock is already cheap to begin with.
And really, that last point about valuation is what makes this whole thing plausible. The analysis points out that while the stock was trading under $4, the average analyst price target is over $9. I mean, that's a massive gap.
It suggests that even without all the drama, there's a belief this stock has a long way to run just to catch up to its perceived value. So that leaves us with the big question. When you put it all together, the weird bets, the perfectly timed events, and the potential for a monster short squeeze, are these clues all pointing to a perfect storm for Rezolve AI? Or is this just a fascinating case of connecting a bunch of speculative dots that might not lead anywhere? That right there is the puzzle.